Well, this is definitely a surprise. And I'm looking to see, oh, and it still isn't set up the right way. All right, so I'll have to look at the comment later or the comment thing. It's working on the one screen, but this one, it's not set up the way I would expect. So, hello, friends, and I am, excuse me, I am having a hard time getting my throat cleared. I'm just going to look really quick to see if there is. No, I don't see it. All right, forget it. Oh, text box shrink to fit. That's not what I wanted. I wanted dynamic. Save. Let's see if we can do another comment. Oh, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. And we'll just make that a little bit bigger and a little bit taller. Oh, nope. Hold on. Literally testing in production. Do you love this? Testing in production. That's what I am doing right now. Hey friends, so for those of you that are going, wow, why are you live on a Thursday afternoon? Well, that's because I just literally walked in the door. Where did it go? I literally just walked in the door from work and I've got a little bit of time without anyone here. I'm doing two things at once. Zoe is off at saxophone, and so I figured I would do a live stream since I won't be live tomorrow night because tomorrow is the New Kids on the Block concert. Thank you for sitting with me for just a moment while I was multitasking and not fully here. Lisa Martin says, happy New Kids on the Block Eve. Absolutely. Tomorrow is the concert and I'm really excited about that. Agnes is saying, look at that beautiful singer. Whoa. Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, I have been sewing predominantly on Ruby. This is a 1951 Singer 301. She has been my primary machine for the past couple of months, and it is what I will be working on tonight. So Susan You're Out says that this is a nice surprise. Becca, thank you so much. I am, it's a nice surprise that you're here too. And then I did see Lynn mention that she's working on the coin pouch that I showed on one of my videos recently. Awesome. I'm glad. I hope that works up for you nicely. I'm just going to move this over. So just give me a second to kind of play with the placement of this a little bit. There we go. That'll work. All right. So, I just wanted a little bit of company while I'm working on deep dive. I am way behind, so I thought, what better way to do this than an afternoon, hour-long sew session before the family comes home. Once they come home from saxophone in about an hour, hour and a half. Yeah, around there. It'll be family time in the evening, so might as well do this. I'm really behind on deep dive. Do you know how sometimes you sign up for a block of the month and then you miss 1 month and then 1 month turns into 2 and then 2 months turns into 3, and before you know it, you feel like you might as well just bought the whole kit all at once because you haven't been keeping up with it. That's kind of what's happened here. I did month 1, I did month 2 as they were delivered, and my goal was to always do the month that was shipped out before I have it completed before I received the next month. But all of the travel over the summer that I've had with the retreats and my mom's birthday and all the other stuff, I got behind. So I have month 3 to finish, and I have month 4 and month 5 waiting in the wings for me to do. And oh, if it wasn't difficult enough, month 4 and month 5 are pretty intricate. There's a lot of busyness going on in the pieces, which means it's not just going to be a quick sew. So what I'm likely going to do is just get month 3 completely caught up because I've only got a little bit more to do. I've got one more block after I put this block together. And then I think for month 4 and 5, I'm just going to make a plan for myself where I just work a portion of it, maybe a little bit every day that I'm in my sewing room. You know, I've seen lots of people talk about when you're behind on a project, how do you make time to sew? How do you make time to get stuff done? And the answer is you really just need to sit down and work on it. But with me, I can sometimes not get started because I get paralyzed at the amount of work that needs to go into the project still. I can also get a little paralyzed and a little overwhelmed at the idea of how long it might take or how much there is to do. And sometimes I'll just delay starting and I will eventually get to it and work on it. But if I just rip the Band-Aid and I just get started, then the amount of time that I sat dredging getting started could actually have been put towards progress. And a little bit of progress multiple times over the long term will get us where we need to be. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. I think Karen Brown has mentioned that sometimes she'll set a timer in her sewing room. I'm not setting a timer. We're just going to use a live stream. Whatever amount of time that I am on this live stream is what I'm going to use for deep dive. So if you have questions about FPP or legit kits, I am here to help answer those. I'll be happy to tell you what I do. It does not mean that it is the right way. It does not mean that it is the wrong way. I do believe that everything that there is, every project, every activity, everything that there is out there to do, there's always more than one way to do it. And I don't think that there's a right way to do the things. That being said, I will say there is not a quilt police way. There is the right way, but the right way is the way that brings you joy. I should have said it that way. The only right way to do a project is the way that brings you joy. So if it makes you happy, even if it's not right, it's right. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to look at the chat while I'm doing this. Yvette Hartso says, yup, I've got 2 cotton cuts sitting half finished. Man, I did sign up for Wild West. I'm doing the colorway Delilah in a size large, and I'm only halfway through month 1. I am taking my time, enjoying working on that. It is a personal sew. I'm not making content for it, which I am really enjoying. But because of that, I don't feel rushed to do a single clue in one setting. I work on it a little bit and then I set it down and put it away and I come back. Anne says, pretty red singer. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So I need fabric RA. And then I'm going to need some HR. Where's my... It's sharp, it's red, it cuts things. Ah, if it was in front of my face, it would have bit me. Dragonflies for Donna says, wow, I got my Becca fix early today. I get my sewing fix a little bit early. I literally just walked in the door from work as my husband and Zoe were walking out the door to go to saxophone. I was like, well, I guess I'll go in the sewing room for a bit and do some work. And I guess I'll just go live while I do it. See who's around to keep me company while I work on this for about an hour or so. Bump. Bum, 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 bum. Did you guys see the cathedral window tutorial that I uploaded yesterday? If you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. I will link it in the description box down below this video. I will also put it as an end screen for those that are watching the replay so you can get to it easily. When you're done watching this or whenever you have time, go check that video out because the quilt that I made was, that video took me 3 months and I would love if you watched it. I am. So Lori says, I hope you are feeling better and over the vid. I absolutely am on the mend. And it's so funny. You guys, you could have blown me over with a feather when that test came back positive because I only felt like I had, I was just tired. I didn't really feel anything else. I didn't have any other symptoms really, except for sinus congestion for like a day. But yeah, I'm doing great. Although my sister has been complaining about stomach issues and she's supposed to be going to the concert with me tomorrow. So we need her to get over that stuff. Like, pronto. Susan says she enjoyed it. Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. It's a beautiful quilt. And it has officially been submitted into the doll quilt category for the Virginia State Fair this year. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy says, I'm glad you're feeling better. Thank you. Hello, Sarah Stitches. Hey, Jersey. Let it cool. Love it. I was thinking, Dragonflies for Donna says, I love it. I was thinking I could make an ornament with a cathedral window sides for a Christmas tree. Yeah, you could do that. Kelly's Quilts and Cruises says, hello, everyone. Hello, Kelly. Designing Jay says, thanks for inviting us to sew with you. I'm working on an EPP project and it's nice to have some company. Well, thank you for joining me. I didn't want to sew alone either. Judy Johnson said the cathedral window was well worth the watch. How many of you are going to try to make one? Or are you just going to continue to oogle the ones that others are making? Sarah says, Becca, I thought, let me put it up here so you guys can read it too. Sarah says, Becca, I thought about you last week. I have purchased a 301 from a lady and did a search on it through Singer and found out it was the 100 anniversary series and they asked me to register it. Awesome! Hope you enjoy it. Congratulations, Sarah. Kathy Moore says, I got my first quilt top quilted and binded. I'm so proud of myself. Good job, Kathy. Way to go. Sarah Stitches says, did you search your Singer number? I looked in the serial database to see like where it was manufactured and stuff. And if I remember correctly, it just like there wasn't anything special that popped up, but I'm not quite sure what else I should do. Is there something else I should be doing? Dan Mathis says, hello, Becca. It's Trish. Hello, Trish. Welcome to the live stream. I'm working on my deep dive FPP project. Yeah, Sarah, mine was not made in Anderson. Mine was made in New Jersey. I do know that. She was asking, yours was not made in Anderson, right? So just to kind of reiterate what she's talking about, if you have a 301, I get this question sometimes, what's the difference between a 301 and a 301A? They're essentially the same machine, except the 301s were made in New Jersey, while the 301As were manufactured in Anderson, South Carolina. Deborah Hunter is asking, any ideas what the new Juki machine will be? No clue. I didn't even know that there was going to be a new Juki machine. That's how out of it I am. Fill me in. Fill me in. I would love to know more. Look at that. Look at that little piece. These are all of the pieces that I have built so far for this block. Little pieces. I'll be putting them together maybe today. We'll have to see how things go. That was HR. Next piece. Kathy wants to know, what am I making? So I am working on a quilt that will look like this when it's all done. I know this is a really small magnet, so you can't really see. This is the Deep Dive Block of the Month from Legit Kits. I'm working on month number 3, and we're about to get month number 6. So I'm a little behind, and I'm trying to get to the chart of what the entire project will look like when it's all done. This is what the quilt will look like minus all the markup. It's a sea turtle that is underneath water. Absolutely love it. I'm really excited to work on this. But we are in this area working on this very detailed stuff. And so that's what I'm working, trying to get this a little more caught up. You got tiny pieces. That's right, Lynn. I need LM. Bye, Kelly. See you later. And RA. All my fabric is in a little set of file cabinets over here. And so I kind of got to lean way over there to get what I'm looking for. Rough cut. All right. I feel like I really should be pulling out my light board, my Cricut light board and cutting mat combination to do this. It would make things a little bit easier, but I'm lazy and it's on the other side of the room. And more importantly than that, I opted for the cheap model that has to be plugged in the entire time. And so I've got to find an available USB port and a cord and all that other stuff. I don't have the one with the battery, and I now legitimately regret that decision. So maybe I'll upgrade it sometime later. Not right now. Okay, that's LM. This is going to be RA. Oh no! Kathy says, I tried and failed at a Bargello quilt that was way over my skill level. Yeah, those can be a little intricate, so maybe set that aside. I know you'll want to do when you can do it. The struggle with the Bargello is you need to be good at you need to be good with getting your seams nested and your points lined up-ish, right? But you also have to, I would say you should reduce your stitch length way down to almost like a 1 point something, because you're going to do a lot of subcutting on the strips that you make. And if you don't have really, really, really tiny stitches on that, you will pop some stitches along the edges as you're cutting. And if you have a normal stitch length, that might mean if you pop 2 stitches, you're going to have to go back and re-stitch that area. You're not back stitching at the start and end of joining each one of those pieces. It's hard to explain. You're sewing strips together that are width of fabric. And you can backstitch at the start and at the end, but you're not going to know where your subcuts are going to lay on that until you get to the point where you're subcutting. And so every time you take a subcut and you have that nice, fresh, clean edge, you don't have a backstitch at the start and end. So you want to compensate for that a little bit with having really tiny stitches. Hope that made sense. Oh, Sarah says New Jersey was one of the first ones that made the 301, which I knew that. NA 107811 is the number, and only 13 have been registered, she told me. Oh. Well, I had my number somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's on the back of here. I'm not pulling it out to look at it, but I'll have to look that up later. I know mine starts with NA. There you go, Kathy. She said, I set it aside and I made a tote bag for myself. That's good. Hello, Anne. Auntie Carol M says, hello, everyone. Hello. Take notes on where you are when you put it away, Designing Jay says. It'll help you when you take it out later to work on it. Aw. Sarah says she called the young lady and let her know, but she said it was her mother's and she didn't sew, so it really meant nothing to her. And I guess Sarah only paid $50 for her 301. Nice. Sophie Bertel, yeah, I said that right, says, hi everyone, arriving late, very happy to see you at a reasonable time for a UK evening. Hello. I really need to get that piece of paper folded over. It didn't want to go. Have you started working on the 301 yet, Sarah? I'm going to have to readjust my layout here because I'm doing more sliding and I would like to do more just pivoting than sliding. So we're going to rearrange how I'm laid out so I feel like I can be a little bit more efficient. Because I have to slide over here, take a stitch, come over here, fold it, oh, piece of paper underneath the fabric. Fold it under, draw my line of seam align, or not seam align, starch. Then take it to the mat, slide down a little bit more. I feel like a typewriter. Ching! And this just doesn't feel very efficient right now. Put this in here, put that in there, put these in there. I'll put this in there too. I've got empty Amazon boxes behind me. They've been delivering school supplies from Amazon, which is great. But all of the packages, when they come, my husband puts in this room, and so I am the designated package opener. So I've got a mess on the floor behind me. All right, I think I've got an idea. Get my FPP cart. Let's push the trash out of the way. There, this should work. And then we'll pull. This should be a little bit more effective, you know? Okay. Bring this closer. There. That will work. Everything is within that, like, boom, boom, boom. Okay. I feel like I'm getting there. This fashion for featherweights are so bumping up the prices here in the UK. Yeah. People like those featherweights, don't they? Which, by the way, this is not a featherweight. Sarah says, isn't it funny how all of the Amazon boxes go into the sewing room? Yeah, I guess my husband just assumes that it's going to be stuff that's going to need to be in here, but it's all school supplies for my child. So technically, he could open the boxes and it would be fine. Aisha's handmade items says hi, hello. Don't forget, guys, if you have a channel and you would like people to check you out, Exclamation Selfie in the chat will drop a link over to your YouTube channel and people can check it out. And if they like what they see, they can subscribe. Supply and demand is what they're saying for the featherweight. There's a limited supply and the demand is causing the price to go up. I wish I had the auto cutter when doing paper piecing from Ann Daly. Yeah, I do miss that. I know I'm wasting threads because I'm not using leaders and enders, and I've got a whole length cut off over here for when I'm done with a seam. But like I said at the beginning of the live stream, the only right way to do something in your sewing room is the way that brings you joy and makes you happy. And this is what makes me happy right now. It might make other people cringe. That's fine. Go ahead. You have control over your sewing room and your project. I have control over mine. If I want to spend more money on thread and be wasteful, I'm allowed to. It's so funny how just giving somebody that permission verbally is such a relief. I was at a quilt show. I think it was QuiltCon. Was it QuiltCon? And I think Cherrywood Fabrics was there. And or it was a quilt, maybe it was Mid-Atlantic, whatever. It was a quilt show. Cherrywood was there. And I walked up to him and said, oh, I have some of your fabric. I bought some a while ago, but I haven't cut into it yet. And without telling her that I was scared to cut into it or just didn't know what I wanted to do with it, she immediately just retorted with, I give you permission to cut into that fabric. And I went, ah, thank you. I still haven't cut into it. But there was something about her just saying that that made it feel okay. RA. I need RA. That should fit there, yeah? Yeah. And then 2 is HR. Oh, wait, that's this one. Sorry, RA on the other side. It's on here twice. And still HR for number 2. Sophie says, I have an early 1990s Bernina 1005 that I love, but I'd like to add an earlier machine to my collection. If that's what you want to do, then you should do it. My friend Mary has a Bernina 440 that she's had for 30 years, and she absolutely just loves her Bernina. She's drooling over the new 990 that's come out, but she's really intimidated by the price. I can't say I blame her. It's quite expensive. You could buy a long arm with Pro Stitcher for that price. Does anybody know anyone that's actually bought a 990? I feel like when you spend $20,000, $25,000 on a long arm with Pro Stitcher, like, it's expensive, but you're kind of like, okay, but I bought a long arm. And it takes up a huge footprint. But to spend that same amount of money on a sewing and embroidery machine, I don't care what automation is in it. That just seems crazy. What do you guys think? Overpriced or worth the hype? Wow, that's awesome. I'm so glad. Lori said, so yeah, did a recap this morning of their Alaska quilt drive, and they collected over 2,200 quilts and 500 beanies and scarves. That is awesome because I believe their goal was only 500 quilts. That's almost 5 times what their goal was. Way to go, guys. Awesome. I bet they are stoked. That's amazing. Overpriced, 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 overpriced. Totally overpriced. I'm waiting for one person to be like, it was expensive, but I bought it. Who's that one person in the chat that actually bought it? Darcy said overpriced. Angela said way overpriced. Alma Grogan says, either way, more money than I have. I couldn't imagine it. Oh. Yeah. Quilt Squirrel says she thinks they're pricing themselves out of a lot of the market with that machine. I could see that. I could see why you'd think that. You know, it's interesting. I think Mary went and did the Bernina Roadshow and was talking to them about the pricing. And she's like, that's a lot of money. I would have to finance it. I would have, like, she would have to finance the machine. And I think the way the payments came out, it was like $500 a month or something for, I don't remember what it was. I'm pulling a number off the top of my head that I think was it, but I could be completely off. But either way, whew, So she opted to not do any of the above because she has a machine that she loves dearly, and she has more other things that she wants to put her money to use for. And so she's sad because she didn't pull the trigger on it, but she feels comfortable with her financial decision, which I think is a very smart decision. Alma says, my car didn't cost that much. I wonder how many they've sold. I mean, it's very popular, but I don't know how much of it is popular right now because of the price tag, and everybody's talking about how expensive the Bernina 990 is, or is it just popular because of all of the automation and things that it does? One of the things that Mary said the machine had that she was really excited about is the ability to do your quilting for you, like edge to edge quilting. And I was like, wait a minute, Mary, that's not anything new. I have seen sewing machines with embroidery units do that for years. It's been a thing. Janome was doing it years ago. So this isn't a new thing. What might be new is the ability to read long arm pantograph patterns, that file format, and load them in. But either way, even if it doesn't matter what machine you do it on, at the end of the day, the way the quilt's going to need to be loaded into that is still kind of a pain. You're still going to have to make your quilt sandwich, and then you're going to have to put that quilt sandwich into the hoop, and you're going to have to keep moving it over every time you want to stitch out a new section. So you still got to kind of baste it. I think people were telling her that you didn't need to baste it, meaning that you don't need to spray it with all the... I think you probably still need to baste it. What do you guys think? Would you trust not basting it and just putting it directly into the hoop? The Lady Layer says, my Statler was 40,000 used. But that's a G. It starts with the G. Gamler. Gamler? That does, Gamel. It's a Gamel. And those are pricey machines. It's so interesting. Wouldn't it shift? That's like if you don't baste it, yeah, right, Heather? It would shift. You've got to hold the stuff together. But she said that the people that she talked to also told her that the machine would never need service. What? They were trying really hard to make a sale. They told her it would never need to go in for service. It would never need to go in for a yearly checkup. I don't know who they were, but I think they may have given her bad advice. They were trying hard for that sale, weren't they? Oh, you don't have to worry about the annual cleaning bills. You don't have to clean the machine. I'm sorry, what? Corrine says, hi, I was just about to ask you, what are you speaking about? We're talking about the Bernina 990 and how crazy expensive it is, and whether we think it is worth the almost $25,000 price tag. Keep in mind, if it brings you joy and you have the money, then it's worth it. I just don't know that I would spend that much on a sewing machine, but maybe in the future I would. Who knows? I always don't want to be, what is it that they say? I don't want to yuck somebody else's yum. I love that saying. I don't want to yuck your yum. If that's what brings you joy, then it wasn't too expensive. You have one life to live. Lynn says, all machines require service at some point. At some point, right? Right there was proof I wouldn't buy from them, Nancy said. Yep. Oh, Quilty Cat says, I think most brands have a machine in that price range now. It has a lot of cool features that I know I'd never use, but if that's your jam, go for it. Absolutely. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, if that's your jam, you want all the gadgets, then get all the gadgets. I personally know I would never use them, which is why I always go for these straight stitch machines, because I don't use any other stitch. Maybe once in a while I'll pull out a zigzag stitch. I would rather have a mechanical machine that does one thing really well and really dependably than to have the machine that has all of the different embellishments. My sewing machine is only really ever used for piecing, right? I don't really use it for anything else. If I'm gonna, that's what I have the long arm for, if I want to do quilting or something. So, yep, yep. Valerie has a really good point, and this was kind of going through my head when I was talking to Mary about the 990 when we were discussing it. She said sewing machines are like computers. I could pay more, but in 2 years I want more RAM, faster speed, and more space, so I will buy a new one. I love speed control, needle up, etc., so I will get a new one soon. Yep. I was thinking, like, what if you spent the 25 and then in 2 years they come out with a 999 and it has new features? Do you trade in for that? Is that what you do? I mean, I guess some people do. But then those of us that are looking at it right now going, oh, that is too expensive. I guess that's when they'll buy their 990, is when people are trading it in for the 999. Oh, so funny. I do like gadgets and I do like tech though, so I'm kind of, it's so funny. I don't want the tech and the gadgets and the computer stuff when I'm sewing. Well, like when I'm actively sewing. I just realized that. Like, I have a nice computerized baby lock. I don't sew on it. I like to use the mechanical ones. I just I that's I just realized that. That's interesting. This is HR good. All right. Huh. Interesting. By the way, is the lighting a little bit better today? I know the past few live streams on Friday nights, I've not had my ring light on, and so there's been like a shadow that kind of comes across my face. So I think I'm probably coming across a little brighter without as much shadow being cast. Hello, Brenda Foley. Thank you, Anne. She says, you look marvelous, darling. Absolutely marvelous. I'm going to move this. Tracy, that is such a good point. She says, your day job and your streaming, and between your day job and your streaming, you're using tech enough. Sometimes going simple works best. I agree. I moved my microphone down a little bit so that if I turn my head, you could still hear me. And I think it made me come across softer, so I'm going to put it back up. There we go. Lori says, when I bought my FAF used, it was 3 months old, and the previous owner bought the newer version and traded it in, and I paid 50% of the new price. Something about, so Mary's salivating over the Bernina 990, which is cute. But we are not, in my house, We are not free. Is that the word? We are not free from the I want to buy something newsies. My husband is eyeballing a new car and has been for months. He has a specific car in mind that he really wants to get. Now, the thing I will tell you about my husband is he is a Ford guy. He will always buy a Ford. Well, I won't say will, but has always bought a Ford and is prone to always buying a Ford. And he has a, oh, look at that piece. Isn't that cute? He has a Ford Escape right now. He bought that machine because he had a Ford Fusion that he absolutely loved. He loved this car. Well, when we were in transition from our house in Arlington to this one, we were staying for a period of time in an extended stay hotel while our house was being renovated before we had a new one to go to, before we put it on the market. And the extended stay hotel that we stayed at was interesting. We'll use that word. It was in an interesting neighborhood. Well, one night he parked the car outside, and he had been parking at the back of the parking lot near the dumpsters because he always does that. He doesn't like parking where everybody else is. So he'll park all the way at the end of the parking lot. And he's very what is it when you do stuff repetitively? Oh, man, I can't think today. Like you have a schedule or a certain way of doing things. Like you like the repetition. So when he finds an area in a parking lot to park, he always parks in that area of the parking lot. And he will usually go far enough out because then he usually gets the same space, and he calls it his space. So that's what he was doing at the hotel. He was parking next to the dumpsters because it was far enough out that nobody wanted to park out there. And he'd just rather walk and always know that his car was in that spot. So he had parked his car. We went in. It was a Saturday night. We went in. We went to bed. The next morning, he wakes up and he's getting ready to go see Justice for the day. So he goes downstairs and tries to start the car, and it won't. Like it had some sort of light or something on it. I can't remember what it was. He was upset. So we took it in that night to the dealership. They looked at it, and there were hoses. I don't remember which ones they were, but there were hoses that looked like an animal had gnawed through the hose. Y'all, why did I say y'all? That was weird. Rats ate his car. Okay. So we paid the $600, whatever it was. I think it was like $600. We paid the $600 to get it fixed. By the way, that was also at the time where we were living in a hotel. We were houseless at the time because that's where we were. We were waiting for the renovations to finish in our current home, and then they found a crack in our foundation that ran from the entire length of our ranch style home, and it was flooding the basement. So we had extra repairs on top of all of that other stuff, and the timeline got pushed out. I was not in a good place. I was not in a good place. Anywho, he got the $600 repair fixed, and then he went and picked up his car, and he came on his way back to the hotel. He couldn't get the air conditioner working. He was like, "Are you flipping kidding me? We just paid the car off. The air conditioner isn't working now, and I paid $600. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done." So we took the car back to the dealership, and we're like, "What do you have on the lot?" Now, this is 2021. Still very much pandemic days. There wasn't a lot to offer. It was a black Ford Escape or a black Ford Escape, and that was it. So it's the cheapest car because they had stopped selling the sedans. And that's the way he always buys cars. What's the cheapest car you have on the lot? I'll take one of those. So it was a black Ford Escape or a black Ford Escape. And so he got a black Ford Escape. So I tell you all of that to tell you that the man has never, he loved the Fusion. He happened upon the Fusion, but even that one, it wasn't the cheapest one on the lot. He did step up into it and he bought it new. He was so happy with that car. And it was the first time that he allowed himself to not buy a car that was the very cheapest car on the lot. He allowed himself to have a full sedan, but he made up for it by getting the one that had no options, like absolutely bare minimum Ford Fusion. Well, he's been salivating after the Ford F-150 Lightning now. He has a friend in his fencing club that has one, and he has been talking about it for, I want to say, almost a year. He keeps talking about how when it's time to trade in the Escape, he's going to get the F-150 Lightning. I'm like, just go do it. Just go do it, please. Like, it's the one time that you're allowed to treat yourself. So we'll see. Yeah, we're not the only ones that have Mary's not the only one that's having the desire to buy something that she really wants. Oh no, Denise. Denise says, squirrels ate the hoses in my friend's car in her driveway. Ugh, see? It happens. The critters can eat your car alive. And we bought a house in the woods. What were we thinking? Apparently we want this to happen again. I don't know. Okay. Tell you what, having somebody to just listen to little stories that I'm sharing while I'm doing the piecing and then looking up and reading the chat a little bit sure does make this very mundane process go a bit quicker. Or I don't think quicker, it just makes it more palatable because you're still stitching just as fast as you would have been if nobody were here. Chipmunks ate our hose in the garage. Oh my goodness, no. The Lady Lair says the F-150 Lightning is nice. He's drooling. We're taking a family trip to Florida in February. And we're planning to drive both of our vehicles. We're taking his side of the family down for just a few days, and we're staying at one of our timeshares in the Orlando area. We're really excited to be able to do this, but we're trying to do it on the cheap because we are paying for everybody to go, right? So we're doing the condo because that saves on the lodging. We're gonna cook breakfast and have lunch materials. You get the drill. You know how this works. But he had himself almost talked into the F-150 last night. He was like, I was going to do new tires and brakes and stuff for the Escape before we went to Florida. But if I take it into the dealership, then I could trade it in and walk out with a new car. And then I don't have to pay the car maintenance. I was like, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Because you're going to do it anyway. And then he talked himself out of it. So I was like, all right, this is your world. I just live in it. Linda says, we have an F-150, an F-250. We live on gravel in Kansas and both been driving the same brand, and I drive a Jeep. We've both been driving the same brand for 35 years. Yeah, I don't think my husband will ever not buy Ford. Susan says, my brother-in-law lost a riding mower, his RV in Tahoe, ruined by mice chewing wires. Oof. This feels like it might be just too small for that spot. So let me get another piece of RA. Lady Lear says, "Gotta go cook supper. Have a great evening." You too. Wow, it's already been an hour, so I probably only have like 30 minutes left before the husband and the child come back. Hello, Katie. Big city country girl? Well, I grew up in the city, but now we live in the woods, but we're only we're 15 minutes from everything that we need. We're in the woods in the middle, right on the outskirts of town, so. And by town, I mean like basically a city. All right, we're going to do HR over here. Hello, Katie. Did I say hello already? I can't remember. Come on, flip it over. Flip it over. I'm going to need that one again in just a minute. Lisa says, I bought a 2013 Ford Focus brand new. The car was a POS. I had transmission problems, ended up getting towed away forever. I will never buy a Ford again. It was a nightmare. Lemons happen, even when they're brand new. Sally says, hi, Becca. New sewing machine models are similar to new car models. Give it a year to correct all the glitches. Good point. That's a piece of advice we should give Mary, yeah? She is waiting, by the way. Hello, Joe Robinson. HR. And then RA over here. Ooh, Jackie, I'll have to share that with my husband. She says, I drove a 4-door F-250 for a long time, and I wish I still had it. Winky face. Karen is asking, is Deep Dive a block of the month for you? Yes, but I am feeling a little bit like it's not because I am so behind and there's so much to do. I am working on month number 3 and they are about to ship out month number 6. Though I'm on block 3 of the 4 that we had to do in month 3. So probably I would say like 75% done. Casey says, hi, Becca. Just getting here. Gonna have to watch the replay to catch up. I watched your video on the seatbelt adjuster, and every time I get into the car, I say, I have got to make one of those things. Hey, listen, Casey, every single time I got into the car for years, it was in my head. I was like, I have got to make this thing. I've got to make this thing. It took me years to get to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to take this 5-minute sew and we're going to get it done. I have had several people leave comments on the video that says, or you could just take the little adjuster that's on the side by the door and adjust the seatbelt. Listen, when you have these, the seatbelt does not lay where it's supposed to. Even with that adjusted, whether I'm in the driver or the passenger seat, the seatbelt hits my shoulder right. That's not the problem. The problem is it gets here and wants to go up over this. That's the problem. And the only way I can keep it from going onto the other side of the mountain is if I hold it. And that's why I made the little thing. It just holds it right by the clipper. And I guess, yeah, a seatbelt extender would have worked for that too, because it would do the same thing. It would just push the where the belt separates back further. But this was a sewing project that I got to do to solve the same problem, so it was fun. I will say, I thought it was because I was a big girl, and I started reading a lot of the chat or the comments, and it's not just me that has that problem. I am finding that women of all shapes and sizes have that. A lot of them have that issue. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of them, which makes me believe that nobody thought about women when they designed seat belts. Big surprise. Everything a woman uses was designed by a man, I guess. Your bras. Yeah, we're just going to stop right there. I was intending for that to be a funny joke, but that probably would not be funny to some people, so we'll leave it alone. Sophie said, what's the bedding? It would, because most cars are designed for men's bodies. They are. So here's the piece that I just built out, and I have one more to build, one more little section to make, and then I can start putting this block together. Summer love, feel like you never before. R-A-H-R. Casey said that's the same problem she has with seat belts too. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Darcy says, I have the same issue. I make shoulder straps that are fleece so it sticks to my fabric where it needs to be. I'm glad I'm not the only one that has that problem, because I thought I was for a very long time. I thought it was just because I was too big. And then now I'm like, oh, I'm not alone, you say. Betty is asking, Becca, do you have a problem with the plastic fan inside your Martelli cutter breaking a lot? Yes, I have. I won't say, I think the definition of a lot is subjective, but it does happen. And I've had that happen on all of my Martelli cutters. I have found for me that the rotary cutter still works if one or maybe two of the blades in the fan are broken. But once it gets less, once two break, I start thinking about replacing it or replacing the fan. I think you can buy replacement parts on the Martelli website. Joan says, "Hi, Becca and everyone in chat. Just noticed you were on, and I think the seatbelt hack is a good idea. I haven't made one yet, but I will. It drives me crazy too. And what are you working on?" I am putting together my deep dive block of the month from Legit Kits. I am working on month number 3. I am behind. They are about to send out month number 6. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of this caught up. The best way to eat a horse is, or elephant, they say elephant. The best way to eat elephant is one bite at a time. So I'm trying to take a big bite on this elephant of a project. Oh boy. Hello, Lisa. A fan in the cutter. Anne is asking, yeah, let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to my 3-camera setup. So here's my Martelli cutter. Let's see if I can zoom in on that a bit. So this is probably as close as I'm going to be able to get it, but I can kind of position. So if I take this off like this, and I slide, I always use this to push it because I'm afraid I'm going to cut my hand. I slide this little guard off and remove the blade. That is what they're talking about, this plastic piece. They're asking if they see these little plastic notches break off frequently. I see them break. I won't say frequently because I think frequently is subjective, but they do break, and this part does eventually need to be replaced. My blade is still good, so I'm going to put it back. Make sure it's crooked. There we go. I try not to touch the edges of the blade. I like to use my little screw to line it up. Then I'll get the guard started, and I'll put the screw back in that circle, and then screw this back on. I always turn this the wrong way. Thank you for the person that just gave me the thumbs down. I don't know who you are, but I did just see it float across my screen. I'm glad you don't like my video. Thank you for watching. It's okay, Anne. No worries. She's saying sorry. She's talking about the rotary cutter. Sophie said, fine, have a thumbs up from me. There's always one. I don't think I have very many videos where I have 100% of all the interactions are thumbs up. There's always a couple of people that hit that thumbs down. Just like, hey, if you want to give me a thumbs down, that's fine. But you, if you're doing that on every video, then why are you watching my videos? If you don't like them, go watch something that you do like. You don't have to be here. But if you're watching it and you don't like it, you're still watching it, so thank you. Oh, so fun. All right. Now I'm going to do another piece of HR. I don't know. Jewel's saying, why would somebody give a thumbs down? I don't know. The thumbs up, thumbs down, like it used to be visible on videos. You could see how many thumbs up and how many thumbs down there were, and then YouTube removed that, so all you can see is the thumbs up if the content creator has that feature turned on for their video. I don't know what purpose the thumbs down really does, because ultimately YouTube is looking at how long you watched the video for. So you can do thumbs down, but if you watched a good chunk of the video, YouTube is going to still be like, well, you still watched it, and you're still going to help that content creator get into the algorithm. So your best bet, if you don't like a content creator, just don't watch. Don't click on, don't watch, don't engage at all. Why is my name not colored? I paid for VIP. Ada, the VIP program is not on YouTube. That's on the website. They're not the same thing. Two different programs. And I did send you an email, Ada, by the way. I'm waiting for an email back from you. So check your email. I think I sent it a few days ago. Alma says, I'm watching again. I'm watching from work again. Boss said, let's go home. I'll try and pick it up when I get home. Okay. I'd rather go home than watch the video too. Two more pieces on this little section. RA. Oh, RA is right here. I still have it out. And then I need LM after this. Hello, Giovanna. Designing Jay says, I think it used to be if you did a thumbs down, it meant for YouTube to not recommend videos like this. Probably, but you know, there is a feature now when you're looking at your home feed and you have all those videos that are up there, if there's a video that you don't like, if you there's three dots on the lower right hand corner just under the video, at least on a computer. I don't know about any other device. Like in a browser you can do this. If you click on those three dots, you'll get an option to not recommend that channel or don't show videos like this. I don't know if don't show videos like this is there still, but if you want to stay subscribed to somebody but you don't want them to show up in your home feed, you can actually say don't recommend this channel. Although if you're going to do that, then why wouldn't you just unsubscribe? I think that don't recommend this channel is powerful for when YouTube recommends channels that you're not subscribed to and you're like, no, not my cup of tea. I think that's where it's powerful. Oh, Belly Pallard says the iPad has the three dots too. Awesome. Oh, sure. Casey's asking, where did I get this? I got it off of Amazon. It is called the Gypsy Bitty Buddy. If you go onto my website, I do, and actually in the description box down below this video, I have affiliate links that you can use for Amazon, Fat Quarter Shop, Missouri Star, any of the above, and they'll all carry that. I think it was $10 on Amazon. But I do have an Amazon affiliate link that you can use to shop for anything, not just quilting stuff. So if you want to pick one up, it won't cost you anything extra to use my link, and it will help me earn a small commission. And it's neat because it collapses down. I'll show you in a second. So when I'm ready to empty it out, I have another trash can, which, okay, this says a lot of, like, this was a popcorn bucket. I'm not kidding. This was a popcorn bucket when The Last Jedi hit the hit theaters. It's a popcorn bucket. That thing's huge. It's now my trash bucket. So when this gets full, I just empty it in here. But it does this really neat thing. Scrunch it together. It lays flat. And then you have an elastic band that you can use to wrap around it. And it collapses down. So this usually sits collapsed down in my tool chest. And I take it with me when I go to classes or retreats. That way I have a little trash can on my desk. I will say the retreat centers, I only go to 2 retreats a year, but those 2 retreat centers that I've been to, I even have like, the owner, the runner of it, whatever, has a trash can at every workstation. So I have the same type of setup. I find that if I'm doing a lot of cutting or snipping threads, having something on the desktop's nice. Sophie says, what do you do with your old rotary cutter blades? I'm going to move this up so we can see the whole thing. What do you do with your old rotary cutter blades, needles, etc.? I just stick mine in a jam jar. I'm wondering if I should get a sharp spin. Well, Sophie, this is what I do with my sharp. It's a sharp spin. I think they come in packs of 3 off Amazon. Also, you can use my affiliate link for that too. And I actually take this to retreats with me. I have sharps written here, although I could probably print off a really pretty decal and put it on all 4 sides. It's got every needle, every rotary blade for years, and it's still not full. They'll tell you, like, it slides over and locks to close, so nothing dumps out. But I keep it closed, and then when I need to put something in there, if I get a an object, I can wedge it down in there, pry it open, and then I could put more sharp items in there. And then when I'm done, I just click it back closed. That way, if it ever spills in my sewing room, it's not going to spill out all those sharp items. I actually get really nervous when I'm changing something sharp in here because I do have carpeting. I get nervous when I change a needle or a rotary blade or I have some pins that need to be thrown out or whatever the case may be. I get nervous if I don't put it in here right away. Sometimes I will put a needle in the side of my wool mat just to make sure that it stays there until I can get this. But then I obsessively think about, I got to throw it away. I got to throw it away. I got to throw it away. Part of that's because I have carpet. Part of that is because I have small animals. Part of that is because I have a child who is 13. Part of that is because I usually walk around in my sewing room in my stocking feet. And part of that is because I have a special needs stepson. And I just don't want to end up in the hospital with a needle, a pin, or worse, a rotary blade or something caught in somebody's foot. The rotary blade I think you would see, but the pins and the needles, oh my gosh, they get lost in the carpet. So that's what I do. And I just kind of keep it set over here out of the way. All right, so now I have all of these pieces. You guys look at all of these pieces. Let me show you. Like, this is crazy. All of this is going to go together to make my block. Oof. Somebody's probably asking, why is there stitching on this piece on this side? Sorry, I'm having a coughing fit. So when I have a section in FPP that is just one piece of fabric, I line it up with the template and I just do a basting stitch in the gray seam allowance area. And that means that I don't have to pick it out. The fabric's going to stay there. Then I can trim it up and I can put it into my project. And that stitching is going to be lost in the seam allowance when I assemble it to the rest of the block. So this is going to make a flipper. I have a sheet of instructions. Which one is this? D2. Okay. I have this sheet of instructions that's going to show me how it all kind of goes together. So is this a legit Kits block? Yes, it is. It's going to be for the sea turtle. Oof. So, all right, this one's a little bit more complicated, but I can kind of show you the process that I take. When I'm ready to put a block together, I take my little map that shows me what the block should look like, and I kind of lay it out like a puzzle. This is from the pattern side, so I'm going to flip everything over so that I have the paper side up. And we'll probably end shortly because I think Jason and my husband and my daughter might be home soon. So, all right, so we're going to have the one with letter A in the upper right-hand corner. We need N in the lower left-hand corner, like this. Sorry. M goes here. L goes here. Oof. B is at the top with C next to it. Where's C? Oh, here's C. There it is. There we go. Now this isn't going to fit together exactly perfect because seam allowances, right? But I can at least get them laid out in the order that they're supposed to be. I need E going under the B and C combination with D coming. Where's D? Where's D? Here. Up this way. F and G. F here. Where's G? That's J, H, I, K. Where's G? Oh, hi. Here. I forgot to trim it down. What about the piece on your wool mat behind you? Oh. Hi, thank you. Yes, that's it. By the way, you don't have to use a medical grade sharps container for this stuff, for your sharps. I have used, I moved everything over to this bin because it was bigger, but before I got this, I had an old dessert jar that had like some cookie dough in it, and it was plastic. The lid just screwed on. I washed it out really good, and I just cut a hole in the top that was big enough for me to slide everything I needed down in there. LM. This was LM. Always put it back before you turn away. All right, G is going to be where? To the right of that, here. Okay, and then we should have I. Ooh, and then J. And H goes in here. And then K down here. Okay. And then it's going to show us on this sheet of paper. I'll show you again. Shelly, thank you for joining VIP. It's going to show you along the side what you're going to piece. Each one of these have a number, and that number kind of aligns to a bold dotted line. That's the seam you're going to take. So number 1 is right here. We're going to take F and G and join them together. And I do that by picking them up, making sure that they're oriented the way the pattern says they should be. I'm just double checking they are. So now what I'm going to do is look at them from this side to see if there are any points that I need to worry about. I don't want to lose this point, right, when I put it together. So I'm going to use some pins. I'll show you this and then we'll probably end. I'm going to put my pin on the back side of this piece of fabric where the point is, and I'm just going to make sure that that pin comes right in at the very top of that point. And then I'm going to do the same thing in each of these corners, kind of where those white lines come to meet, like that, right? And I'm going to line it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to get it into the corners. This pin is going to go into this corner right here. If it's off a little bit, I'll pull it back out and line it up. And then I'm going to see where this kind of hits. There we go. I'll show you what I'm looking for when it's all done. There we go. So what I'm looking for is that the pins are going through the points up here on that line, and they're coming through on the line underneath. But then I want to take it a step further and make sure that that pin is going straight up and down. So I'm going to grab a clip and secure that seam so that the pins are still going straight up and down. The clips are going to hold that seam where it was supposed to be. The pins are being used just to line up my points. Then I'll take this over to my sewing machine. And I'm going to stitch on that line. The first time through, if you're nervous about this, I'll actually do it that way. I'll do it the way I'm telling you. You can take a bigger seam allowance. A basting stitch would be great. And just stitch right on that line. then when you bring it back over here, you can open it up and press the seam over or open and look to make sure that all of the points and the shapes that you wanted to keep, you're keeping, right? So this looks continuous, this point isn't lost. That looks good for me. If that looks good, then I can take this back over to my sewing machine, and with my normal stitch length that I would use for FPP, I'll go right back over that stitching line that I just did. Then when I come over here, I'll open it back up again, make sure that everything still looks good. It really does. So I'll close it back up and I'll rip off the pieces in the seam for where I just lined up and attached those two segments. So just like this. Just pulling them off, laying them on the table. Once I've joined a couple of sections, I always like to press my seams open where the join is, just because it gives me flatter seam allowances. And this is where all of your pressing tools and such come into play with FPP. I'm using this little pressing stick, whatever, just to get that seam rolled open. I don't need this. I just grabbed it because my pressing mat is over there and I wanted to do this on camera where you could see it. And I'm going to really make sure I get some best press on that seam. I do like to do it on the wrong side of the fabric, but I've done it on the right side too, and that's been fine as well. And then I'll hit that seam with a hot iron. I'm going to put it on my mat because I want it to go flat. And then once I've hit it with that hot iron, my next step is going to be to put a clapper on it and let it cool. That clapper is going to apply pressure to the seam. The moisture from the starch is going to get the seam to be very crisp. The starch is going to give the fabric a little bit of body, so it's going to hold that position a little bit better. The heat is going to dry it in that place, and the clapper is going to cool it in that really flat position. So those three things, the hot iron, the starch pen, and the clapper, is going to help reduce the bulk in your FPP projects. I just clipped off my dog ear. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep doing that throughout the rest of this block. I do stop and pick up a little bit before I move on to the next segment so that I don't have a huge mess. So that's what I'm doing now, throwing the little pieces of paper away. I'll look over at my sheet, and I will usually keep a marking pen or something else with me. As I sew a seam, I put an X on the number so that if I walk away and I come back, I know where I left off without having to pick up the piece and figure it out. I know I did number 1 and now I'm doing number 2. Sometimes you may have seen me when I'm working on FPP, I have this little tool. I have this little tool that I usually keep handy. This is the quilting tray from So Be It Quilts. I usually keep my starch pen in here, a regular pen in here, and then either a seam ripper or something else there. And then these two are magnetic trays that just hold on to metal stuff for me. This is why you usually see when I'm working on FPP that I have a pen there, because if I'm working on something that has a lot of instructions, I sometimes like to jot down notes or tick off steps as I go. There we go. So that's it. And I hear the husband. So I am probably going to head out. Somebody is asking, Sophie is asking, Oh, Candace is asking, what's your favorite legit kit pattern that you've done this far? I really like the way my lion turned out. I want to get it quilted, but I completed Ursa, which is the small polar bear. I liked that because it was a small project that I felt like, even though it took me a while to do, it went together a lot quicker than the lion did. I was happy to do that and I was proud of it because it was my first FPP project, like other than like a block or a mug rug. It was my first FPP quilt that I've ever completed. I am disappointed in my quilting on it. And there is a place where I forgot to add an entire piece of fabric. So his shoulder on the bear looks like he's gone through the matrix. But all the points, everything else looks great. And I love it. The lion, I am super proud of because I got a little artistic with it and changed up the design. I changed out the background. I added a moon element and some of the green that was in the mane and in the lion's fur, I traded out for other versions of brown and beige and yellow. And so my lion's colored just slightly differently than what the pattern called for, but 90%, 85 maybe of the quilt is the color suggestion from Legit Kits. So I don't count that as a unique quilt at all. But those are the only two. Oh no, I did do Rainbow Vortex. That was an easy sew. That was a very easy sew, and I enjoyed putting that together. It was nice because I don't feel like it took as long as the lion did. But you can't, I don't think you can buy that one now. Can you? I don't know. I don't know. So I've only really done the three. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to love the sea turtle because I love sea life. I love dolphins and whales and sea turtles and fish. Like, I love all of that. So this has been on my bucket list for a while. And when they broke it up into a block of the month, I got really excited. So I think it's probably going to be this one, but I also do love Mufasa, which is my lion quilt. All right. I think that's it. I'm going to take off. I'm going to go have some dinner. I've been live for almost 2 hours, so we're going to call it quits. 2 hours, and this is all I got done because FPP is a fiddly beast. Thank you, friends, for hanging out with me Thursday. Don't forget, I will not be live tomorrow night. I believe Donna is going to be live on her channel starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and they're going to continue on. I think she's going to try to finish up a project that she started on Monday night, or at least make a good bit of progress on it. So if you're looking for somewhere to hang out tomorrow night, check out Donna's. I'll be with the boys in the band at the New Kids on the Block concert. I'll see you guys next week on Friday. Don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll see you then. Bye, friends.